Good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to learn the prose section, especially the lesson written by J.C. Hill entitled Good Manners. The topic itself is very meaningful, suggestive, and we know what the text is going to be with the theme. So, we have finished our poetry section. Now we have taken up the prose section. And in poetry section, poetry has been defined differently by different scholars, different critics at different times. Now we are moving towards understanding exactly what prose means. So before I proceed further, I would like to make a crystal clear distinction between prose and poetry. So let's see what prose means and what poetry means. Whenever we talk about poetry, we remind William Wordsworth's definition of poetry, that is, poetry is the breath and final spirit of all knowledge. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings taking its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. But here in this context, let's distinguish poetry from prose. In the words of Virginia Woolf, who opines that the poet gives us his essence, but prose takes the mold of the mind and the body entire. So, in the words of St. Coleridge, prose, words in their best order, poetry, the best words in the best order. So, according to St. Coleridge, a romantic poet, prose means words are in their best order, but in poetry, words and order both must be the best. So, let's see what Charles Baudelaire thinks about poetry and the poets. Always be a poet, even in prose. So, although you are writing a lesson or you are in prose writing, but still you have to retain being a poet within you. So, this is a very simple topic that we are going to learn today, that is Good Manners by J.C. Hill. So, let's go through a few important quotations regarding to good manners before we exactly understand what J.C. Hill has rightly stated in the lesson. According to Clarence Thomas, he says, good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. I repeat, good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. By Clarence Thomas. There is one more quotation by Solomon ibn Gabirol. The test of good manners is to be patient with the bad ones. And in the words of Lemmy, good manners don't cost nothing. Lillian Gish is of the opinion that you can get through life with bad manners. I repeat, you can get through life with bad manners, but it's easier with good manners. But it's easier with good manners. So let's see what exactly the poet J.C. Hill has rightly stated in the lesson entitled as Good Manners by Jesse Hill. Jesse Hill is very well known in English literature. He is a famous English writer. The lesson entitled Good Manners is nothing but an extract from his famous book, An Introduction to Citizenship. In this lesson, we are going to talk about the good manners which one should retain within himself, one should have in the society wherein we live. While going through the lesson, we understand the significance and the importance of good manners. Jesse Hill talks about the story of the young man in the beginning of the lesson. The author opens the essay with the story of a young man, and he goes on to reveal the importance of good manners in our life. The young man in the story is proud of himself, but he is very selfish. He never care. He never cares about others. He never minds about others. He is self-centered, egoistic. But time is not with you always. Time is changing every time. Once a disease attacked him, and it was difficult for him to walk and stand in the bus. He finds many difficulties in his life. At that time, he realized how much it is difficult for others who are in pain. Whenever you are in problems, you can understand, you can feel the problems of the people. Only at that time he saw others who were unmindful of him. Nobody cared him. Nobody gives attention to him. And in the course of time, he realized the importance of good manners. He was cured, and later on, he started helping others. So, whenever you come across problems, you can understand the problems of the people, and naturally, you can inculcate within yourself the good manners. The author, Jesse Hill, wishes to state the fact that we should care for people all around us. We should love people, and it's a good manner. We should look after the people who are in need of help. He asks us not to laugh at the old people who find it difficult to cross the road. We come across such events in our day to day life that there is the old man who is blind, who is not able to cross the road properly. And it's our responsibility to help the old man to cross the road safe and sound. But most of the times we ignore, we are busy at work, our life is scheduled. That's why we pay hardly any attention to the people who are in need, and we ignore them, we laugh at them most of the times, and we move on. So, in this context, Jesse Hill preaches us the moral lesson that one should keep the good manners with yourself, and help the people who are in need, especially the old people. He gives the example of an old man crossing the road, finding difficulties. In such incident, you need to be volunteered yourself and help the people who are in need. He says that our laughter will turn back to us soon, as it happened with the young man. So in the beginning, we see that the young man is proud of himself, he's egoistic, he's selfish, he's unmindful to others. But in the course of time, we can see the radical changes in his behavior and some moral transformations in him. So this is the beginning of the lesson. In the lesson, the author, J.C. Hill, goes on to add his views about good manners. He's talking about the good manners which one needs to inculcate in him, especially speaking in company. Suppose there is a crowd of people. Suppose 10 people are there. And it's not necessary to open your mouth and say many things which you know to them. But as per the writer, it's important to keep silence most of the times and listen to others what the people say instead of insisting others to listen to what you say. Here in this context, J.C. Hill asks us to be cautious while speaking with others. If you talk with another person, we should give him a chance to speak to. The people should not say, let me say something, let me speak. We should not create such event where the people are willing to say something but you never allow them to say something. You keep them mum and you go on talking about yourself. So maybe the people may have different views, different ideas about the same objects, about the same topic. So that's why you should give a chance to others to talk. If we are talking with another person, we should ask them to talk as well. We should give them the chance to talk. If they do not speak, it means they do not want to talk too much. There are many people that they are not so talkative. They are silent listeners. So then we are asked to be listener cautious too. If we speak of some subject, we should be aware of the fact that the listener might have a different idea about what we are talking. Most of the times we forget what the people want to say about something. We ignore, avert their ideas, we neglect their views, perceptions, ideas, thinking, and we talk about our own ideas, own views. So, this is the bad manner, according to the author. The author wants you to give a chance to others to talk on the topic. So, here maybe they are having different sorts of ideas about the same topic. The author gives different meanings for the word. For example, socialism for different people. So the word is the same, the concept is the same, the notion, the idea is the same, but it is interpreted differently by different people at different times through different perceptions. So that's why it's important to encompass a very wide spectrum of knowledge and allow others to say something, explain different views, and accept what the people talk about the things. This is what exactly Jesse Hill has rightly said. The author Jesse Hill, in his lesson, Good Manners, talks about understanding others. It's a moral responsibility of each and every individual to understand others, to understand ourselves. So he advises us to understand ourselves before teasing or talking ill about others. Very simple strategies there in our life about ABC. A, B, C are friends. Whenever there is the absence of C, A and B talk about C. Whenever there is the absence of A, B and C talk about A. And whenever there is the absence of A and C, B is talking about that. So here, in absence, we criticize people, and on the face, we appreciate them. This is the bad manner. According to the poet, according to the author, J.C. Hill, he says that you need to understand yourself before you talk ill, bad things about other people behind them to their backside. So this is the bad manners. He gives several examples to prove this point. If an old woman asks a boy with a scout uniform whether he is a scout boy, the boy should explain himself. So here is the example that J.C. Hill, the writer, gives us. That is, an old woman asks a boy, "Are you a scout? Are you a scout boy?" It means looking at the dress that the boy has on. An old woman may guess so. He's a scout boy. The boy should explain himself. This is his responsibility to explain what she asked for. He should not scold her for being silly. Maybe an old woman asks or expects some different answers from the boy. The boy should not say that, "Can't you see the scout uniform and can understand that I am a scout boy?" He should not scold her for being silly. That is the bad manners. Pointing out the mistakes that the people commit is a bad manner. That's why in Sanskrit it is said, "Yani anabadhani tani karmani sevitani noitrani." All the elder people have good manners. We can't say so in all respects. Maybe there are some lacunas, weaknesses in the elder people. But it is the responsibility of the youngsters not to look at the bad things in the older people. You should accept what is the best in others. You should learn many good things from the elders, from the teachers. This is what exactly Jesse Hill, the author, has stated in this lesson. The lesson also talks about some important tenets about inculcating good manners within you. He goes on to say that none of us has ever understood the importance of good manners. He gives the experiment for this. The experience is quite simple. and anyone knows about this. The experiment conducted in a college in which the students were shown a bull picture. Some students said that they have experienced the bull's tongue is coming out of its mouth, but the reality is different. This is something like the four men and the four blind men and the elephant. The reality is perceived differently by different people at different times. The perception may differ in this context, and the object is the same. I study something, I read something, I interpret something. This is my own understanding of the text. Maybe you may feel differently about the text. Different people have different conceptions, ideas, views about different objects. In this context, there is a bull picture, but it is differently interpreted by different students. Individually, it differs because reality is understood in parts, not as a whole. A reality is a relative term. Part is equal to the whole. But the reality which is pursued by an individual is the final one. We can't say so. We can't say about like that. The reality may be different. It is pursued in parts in order to know the whole. The perception of reality differs individually because reality is a relative term. That's why each and every student in the college, they interpret a whole picture differently because the experience is experimented here, and the experimentation that is had by the experiences of each student differs in its semantic concern. The author says that every one of us are not aware of ourselves, and we should take care of what we argue and speak. Most of the times we get stuck to the ill things, false interpretation of things, and we insist that I am right, and we never allow others, and we never accept what the people say about something. So in this context, J.C. Hill, the author, wanted us that we should stop argumentation and speaking ill things about the objects. We should allow others to talk about the issues. So to sum up this lesson, the author J.C. Hill concludes the essay by stating the fact that there is not single truth in the world. There is no single truth in this universe, in this world, because the truth is differently interpreted and understood by the people. What is true to me may be false to you, and what is true to you may be false to me. What might be true to us might be false for someone else. Nobody seems to be accurate in expressions, in presentations. He asks us to cultivate the good manners of understanding other people and not hurting them. There should be the cultivation of good manners, of understanding other people and not hurting them. So we should not hurt people. We should respect the views of people. In this way, J.C. Hill, in his lesson entitled good manners, talks about good manners. He gives the example of the story of the young man and the transformation that he had in the course of time, and the significance or the importance of good manners. He learns good manners. Then we learn the idea about speaking in company, the importance of being silent and giving respect to the views of the people. And one more thing which is very important to understand, that the thing we discuss much more might mean differently to different people. That's why it's important to understand ourselves and the people all around you. So before I sum up, I would like to conclude the lesson with two important quotations which we know. That is, first is by Gilbert K. Chesterton, who is of the opinion that we are justified in enforcing good morals. We have been preached, taught many lessons about keeping good morals with us. We are justified in enforcing good morals, for they belong to all mankind. But we are not justified in enforcing good manners, for good manners always mean our own manners. So here, Chesterton is of the opinion that we are not justified in enforcing good manners, for good manners always mean our own manners. So he focuses his attention on good manners rather than good morals. Much more importance is given to good manners instead of good morals. In order to retain or reach good morals in life, it's important to acquire, inculcate within ourselves good manners. This is what exactly Gilbert Chesterton has said so. And it's easier to get the good manners in life instead of the bad manners. There is the last quotation about this, and which may create another sort of suspicion in this lesson, that is H. Jackson Brown Jr. What he says, let's see. Good manners sometimes means simply putting up with other people's bad manners. You talk about good manners means most of the times you talk about the bad manners of the people. We should not teach ourselves. We never preach ourselves. We teach others. We wanted other people to behave like that, to have manners like that, to do something like that. We teach others do's and don'ts, but we never teach ourselves what good manners we actually individually need to follow ourselves in life. So in this way, the lesson comes to an end. Thank you very much and have a nice day.